Hi guys, Totallydubbed here, and today I'm doing a video roundup of the best DACs I found in 2018. Now before I get any flame, I do want to mention that I can only source so many products and I've tested a certain variety of products. However, you'll be pleased to know that I've tested from 60 odd pounds all the way up to £2,100. So it gives you a nice sort of variety. Now if you're wondering what on earth is a DAC, now I could send you some links down in the description below which I'll highly encourage you guys to click. However, in a really brief sort of video summary, a DAC converts ones and zero digital data such as your music files and converts them into an analog signal which you can then use your headphones such as with a 3.5mm jack in order to listen to your music or play your games or whatever have you. Why would you want a DAC? Pretty simple, because it gives you better sound, be it for games, be it for listening to your music, or even just watching your odd heavily compressed YouTube videos. No matter if you're an audiophile, gamer, or just an enthusiast, there's something here for everyone. So without further ado, I'm going to go into it, and just bear in mind that I'll be quoting UK prices, and more so I'll be also mentioning a little bit of the inputs and outputs because they do vary as you go greater in the spectrum in terms of the price, you get more inputs and outputs. But I'll also be quoting UK prices simply because I live in the UK. However, US links will be down in the description below, so be sure to check them out. So let's start this roundup with the FiiO E10K. Now this little cute little thing, as you can see, it's not even the size of my hand. Is very nice. Now what it does, it has a 3.5mm jack output, and in terms of inputs, it's got a micro USB input to your PC, and also has a coaxial digital output as well, and also a line output which can convert, which goes into a optical output as well. So it's kind of like a pretty versatile little DAC, and it's so small and sits on your desk very cutely. Now in terms of the sound quality, it does have a relatively good sound. It's not the best as you can imagine based on its price, but it's going to give you a massive boost over your normal laptop or PC audio. This is going to be something I would say for entry-level people who want a sort of small-sized DAC that can sit really conspicuously in their PC or laptop setup. It's very portable and very nice on the go. Just bear in mind it will need power in order to work. The next up in the list is the Lindy DAC, and the reason I'm reaching over is simply because I've got my Amazon links over here so I can see them. The Lindy DAC comes in a little bit more at £76. Now this DAC isn't as pretty, far from it. It's got a plastic sort of shell, it's pretty big, it's almost double, triple the size of the E10K, but yet it sounds very, very good. Now Lindy are known for making really cheap and affordable gear, and I must say here the Lindy USB DAC is extremely impressive for the price. I would rate it as one of the best DACs under £100, and the reason why is because of its spacious sound. So over the E10K you'll get some sort of similar sort of sound signature. It's not super accurate or the best that you're going to get, as I said, in comparison to the rest of the line that I'll be talking about here. However, it gives you a more spacious sound. So if you don't care about looks and you still got the budget, like a little £10, £15 more, and you want more spacious sound, then the Lindy DAC is the one to go over the E10K. Next up in the list, we've got the FiiO Q1 II. Now you can see this little DAC is extremely slim and portable. It's still pretty small. However, one thing that's key over here is this is going to fit perfectly in your jean pockets or in your suit blazer or in your handbag. No matter what it is, it will fit very easily. It's very lightweight as well. The only problem with it is that it does have this sort of thinnest and closed sort of sound, and yet it costs £85. So it's more expensive than a Lindy DAC or the E10K. So you might be wondering, why on earth would I want it? Simple. If you want a DAC that you can take on the go and listen with your mobile phone plugged in, and not wirelessly, then this is the DAC to get for. And the reason you get this is because you're on the go, you're using it with your phone, have it like literally, the FiiO provide like a set of cables, and you literally put it next to your phone and take it on the go. It connects via an OTG cable via micro USB input to, let's say, lightning cable or USB-C. It's got a 3.5mm jack output and a balanced output as well, which is useful, and a SPDIF output as well. Now it's got power, so you don't need to connect it up to the power. It's got a certain battery built in, so you will need to charge it, or alternatively always have it plugged in. So do bear that in mind. So you do want to charge that before you go out. As I said, the reason you pick this is because if you want portability. However, it won't provide you the same sort of spacious sound or the sort of great sort of sound that you get from the E10K. So do bear in mind this is a sort of use case. It's not strictly going to be stuck to your desk. Next up, we've got the Sound Blaster X G6. This is Creative's brand new DAC. It takes over from the G5, which was very, very popular and very impressive. Now this DAC is really aimed for gamers that are on a budget. The reason I say it's aimed for gamers is because it's got certain features like the SBX feature, the Scout mode, which are used to enhance your listening or your precision while gaming. So if you're playing Counter-Strike or something like this, this would probably be a better pick over something like the E10K. It does come in at a more expensive price at £130, but yet it is going to provide a fantastic sound. Now, strictly sound quality wise, I would pick the one I'm going to talk about next over it. However, the G6 does provide those certain gaming attributes, such as not only those features I mentioned which can be activated on the side, but also a 3.5mm jack input for both for your microphone, and also an output 3.5mm jack for your headphones. The software is pretty comprehensive as well, and given the fact that it can be connected via micro USB and doesn't and needs power via that micro USB, but alternatively has a optical line in and output via 3.5mm jack inputs, it means that it's a pretty versatile DAC for gamers. Better still, if you're someone who has a console and you want better sound, then this could be your solution. Definitely suggested if you're a gamer and you're on a budget. Now the reason I mentioned gamer a lot in that is because the next DAC in the roundup is the Audioengine D1. Now for me, that provides an even wider sound and an even better sound. It's similar in terms of its inputs and outputs, yet it adds it adds an analog output as well, a right and left channel, which means that you can hook it up to a speaker, and it's also got a Toslink optical input as well. I use this when connected via USB, and I must say, in comparison to the G6, it provides a wider sound signature, a wider soundstage, sorry, and a much better sound signature. It's a much more flat sort of sound, and it powers earphones to any sort of degree, and headphones to any sort of degree, very impressively. I tried it with my Denon D2000, which I've got over here, to something like the Sennheiser HD820s and the HD800S, and it was absolutely fine. Of course, I needed an adapter because it was a 3.5mm jack output only, but this small little D1 is, I would say, almost the same size in terms of width, height and dimensions of the G6. It's slightly smaller, but I must say in terms of sound quality wise, it does provide a much better sound. So if you're an audiophile and you're on a budget, the D1 for me is the one that I would go for. And now we move on to the Sennheiser GSX 1000. Now this is almost like the G6 in terms of it's aimed at gamers. It's got a nice sort of dial interface which is touchscreen based as well. It comes with really simple software which is easy to toggle on and off features. But the GSX 1000, which comes in at £200, is a audio upgrade for gamers from the G6. It provides a much better sound signature, it provides much better mids, which the G6 sounds a little bit more recessed in comparison. It's got great instrument separation and great positional cues, so the GSX would be my pick if I was a gamer over the G6. That said, if I'm still an audiophile, I would compromise and save myself some money on the GSX 1000 and buy myself the Audioengine D1, which can be found for around £140. So if you're a gamer, you're going to have to pay that little bit of premium for those features, and those features are like the 3.5mm jack output input for your microphone, and the certain features which are used for pushing positional cues. So next up, we've got the Cambridge Audio DAC Magic Plus at £250. Now this is absolutely incredible. For £250, you're really moving up in the audio game. You're really upping your game, and you're going to start coming to something that's going to come like the Yugo 2 or the Mojo, which I'm going to get into in just a bit. The reason I say getting up to that sort of a level is simply because of its inputs and outputs, due to its sound quality, which is extremely spacious, and the instrument separation that you get. It's really incredible how the DAC Magic Plus performs. At £250, you're getting a substantial upgrade, not only in terms of the amount of money you're going to have to spend, but also in terms of the overall sound quality you're going to get from this thing. It adds a fantastic width that is almost, I wouldn't have heard of any other DACs until you get to £1,000+ such as the Yugo 2. Even something like the Mojo, the Chord Mojo, which costs almost twice its price, or around £380, doesn't provide a same sort of width and depth to it. So if you're someone who really likes a wide sound sort of signature, then the DAC Magic Plus is the way forwards. In terms of outputs and inputs, it's got a 6.3mm jack output at the front. It can, in terms of inputs and outputs, it's got XLR, RCA, Toslink. It's got digital coaxial as well, and it even accepts a USB external drive, which is used for Bluetooth, so you can even add a Bluetooth dongle, which is an additional charge, and then have this as being a sort of a wireless DAC as well, so you can stream music to it and output music via your headphones. Very impressive, and by far one of the ones which really surprised me given how old this DAC is in the market, and I was very impressed. So next up is the Chord Mojo, and that's the one I just referred to. It comes in around £380 to £400. Now this little thing is very well respected across the community, not only because of its fantastic design, but also because of its sound quality. This little thing does produce an incredible sound, which will be perfect for speakers to headphones or earphones. It does an incredible job in terms of delivering a sort of flat-ish sound signature. I say flat-ish because it's not quite flat, it's still warm sounding in some respects, but it's so accurate, so detailed, and so impressive that this thing shouldn't go unnoticed. Essentially, the only reason I would choose the Mojo over the DAC Magic Plus is simply because I can drive headphones or speakers a little bit better with this thing, and also because of its small design, and given the fact you can plug in the poly, and I know it's quite expensive to add on top, but that then becomes a wireless DAC which you can use at a very high bit rate and stream over Wi-Fi with your smartphone. So this little thing becomes very versatile for on-the-go usage, and also for at the home. I must say this was my DAC for a very long time after I got it for review, and I must say it's one of the most impressive DACs on the market. For £400, around £400 is impressive. You've got 3.5mm jack outputs. In terms of inputs, it's a bit weird. They use two micro USB inputs. One is used for power and one is used for sound. Whilst other DACs, such as the FIO E10K, use a single micro USB input for power and source. So you're going to need two different micro USB inputs. It can be a little bit annoying. I've got two little micro USB inputs like trailing on my desk, but nevertheless, it's something you're going to need. You've got Toslink as well, and you've got coaxial digital via 3.5mm jack outputs. It's also got very nice colourful lights, which I wish I could show you, but unfortunately there's no power on it right now. Next up is one of my favourite portable DACs, if not the best portable DAC on the market. It's the iFi X DSD. Now this little DAC, I must say, is very impressive, and the reason why is because if you're an audiophile and you like taking music on the go, then you shouldn't look any further than this little thing. It's not only made for plugging in at home, because you can have a USB jack straight to your phone, straight to your computer or your laptop, but on the go this uses Bluetooth aptX HD to communicate with your smartphone. Of course, if you've got an iPhone, you're not going to use that, you're going to use AAC instead, but this, in terms of codec wise, if you've got an Android phone like myself, is very impressive. To me, I would say it's so versatile and useful that it means that I can go wherever I want with my smartphone, and even if I don't have a 3.5mm jack, which I do by the way, but on my phone that is, even if I don't have that, I connect this via Bluetooth aptX, and believe me, the differences between 3.5mm jack and aptX Bluetooth are very minimal to the human ear, especially when you come to flagship headphones and stuff. I think you're going to struggle to hear the difference in terms of the quality lost between those two codecs, as in the codec versus the hardwired analog output. And this little thing connects via Bluetooth instantaneously, much better than the Mojo and Poly combination would do, and then allows you to really enjoy music at a blast. It is my go-to portable DAC, and it's actually one that I use every single day when I come to my commutes, simply because it's very versatile and yet provides a much superior audio than I'm ever going to get from my smartphone. In terms of outputs and inputs, you've got a 3.5mm jack output. Input wise, you've got a USB output which can connect to your PC. As I said, Bluetooth aptX as well. It's got no Wi-Fi capabilities. It's got optical via 3.5mm jack, and then to power it, which you're going to need to charge, I think around 8 to 10 hours, it's got a micro USB input, so make sure you charge this before you go on the go. Very impressive, and among one of my favourite portable DACs that you can find out there. And next up, we jump massively in price, and the reason I say that is because we go to the Chord Hugo 2 that comes in at £1,800, a massive difference over this DAC. In fact, all the DACs I've got over here that I just showed you right now wouldn't even equate to the price of this Hugo 2. Why on earth is this so expensive? Well, there's a few reasons, and I'm going to get into them. First of all, you get more inputs and outputs, and I know this might seem weird because the DAC Magic Plus had loads of different inputs and outputs, but in comparison to the Mojo, which is a lot smaller, you can see that this little Hugo 2 is going to have different inputs that might be useful for you. So for example, you've got analog output, coaxial, optical input as well. You've got a 3.5mm jack output and a 6.3mm jack output as well. And then in terms of sound quality goes, this is far leagues above the rest that I've talked about. Specifically, its smaller brother, the Mojo. And the reason why is because of its instrument separation and its sort of tonality. This just improves upon what the Mojo is. The sound becomes wider, it becomes even more involving, and makes you really appreciate the music like you've never done before. Something I was really surprised about, because at first when I plugged it in, I was like, okay, there's a difference. But then as I listened to it more and more, gave it more burn-in time, suddenly I realized it was even turning my £250 headphones to something that were far above what they were. In other words, it was really bringing out the most out of the music, even with low quality sounds, as in 256 kilobytes MP3 sounds. And I know audiophiles will be cringing at that, but unfortunately that's what most people would be using it for, as in most people will be getting, for example, if they're downloading music via Amazon, or let's say their iTunes or something. It even makes those type of files sound fantastic. And when it comes to gaming, I must say I was very impressed, because I was using this on the go, on certain games, and I was very blown away by its capabilities. So if you're looking for a serious audio upgrade over the Mojo, this is by far one of the best DACs I've ever come across. It just opens up sound like there's no tomorrow, and really adds a lot of life. It also will need power, however it can switch on. You can see the little colours over here, so it looks very nice. And you've got different sorts of modes. You've got XPHD and filter mode, which you can go in more depth and read the manual about what it does, but essentially it alters the sound in terms of how the sound is transmitted. So overall, I must say the Hugo 2 is among one of my, it is my favourite DAC that you can buy. However, it's not finished, because there's one more DAC to mention, and that is the Sennheiser HD-V820, coming at £2,100. Jesus! Now, why am I mentioning this one? Well, I got this when I reviewed the HD-820 and the HD-800S from Sennheiser. And the reason Sennheiser sent this across is simply because of its XLR output. Its balanced XLR output really brings it to life. And when I plugged the HD-820 and HD-800S, I'm losing it, it sounded far better on the XLR output than it did via the 6.3mm jack output on the Hugo 2. Even though technically speaking, the Hugo 2 sounds better. So if I do apples for apples, so 6.3mm jack output connected via the HDV 820 and then via the Hugo 2, I prefer the sounds coming from the Hugo 2. It just sounded a little bit more accurate, a little bit more forward in the mids. However, with the HDV 820, especially when you pair it up with Sennheiser's own headphones, it becomes magical. Not only from its driving power, but in terms of its overall sound signature and sound quality. What Sennheiser have done over here is essentially create the perfect pairing for Sennheiser HD 820 or HD 800S or HD 800 headphones. And the reason I say that, the perfect pairing, is simply because they do really pair very well with their headphones. It's as if this amplifier and DAC was designed to match the headphones. And I must say, you are paying a hefty premium, and even on top of the Hugo 2, but it's one I would pick if I had those headphones. If, however, I didn't have those headphones, Sennheiser headphones, and I had such as my dead-on headphones with Fostex headphones, or let's say Audiophile LCD range, which use a 6.3mm jack output, or alternatively become a different output if you customize it, then I'll choose the Hugo 2. So it's really up to you in terms of what your setup is, but nevertheless I just thought to share my opinions there, and also mention the HDV 820 because it's very impressive. So there we go, guys. I know I've been talking a lot and throwing a lot of information at you, and I know audiophiles will be asking me, I want more details on the Hugo 2, it's a great DAC and you're not giving it enough justice. And then some people will be like, why on earth would I getting a E10K over a Mojo or vice versa? Ask me down in the comments below if you need more questions or more clarification. I've tried to give a brief overview of every over here, and I know I've skimmed out on a lot of details on every single DAC, and I'm sure the PRs and the manufacturers won't be happy with that. I want more detail, but then that will be a 2-3 hour long video, which is something I don't want to shoot and something that you guys probably don't want to watch. And if you do, then let me know anyway. So nevertheless, guys, hopefully this video has been useful for you. Those are my personal picks as the best DACs of 2018, and I'm sure it will extend into 2019. As I said, let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, if you want me to check out anything and use it as a comparison, and more than anything, what you think about the video. Did I talk about too much? Did I talk way too fast? I know I get that sometimes, but I just need to give you the information that you guys need, and as honestly as I can do that. If you like this roundup, then give it a like, subscribe, share if you think it will be useful for family and friends, and there we go. Alright guys, I've been Totally Dubbed, take care, and bye bye.